Hey, welcome back to the Engine Shop Joe channel. In case you didn't notice, I've got my Quest cup up here from the 1990s, early 90s. It was the Quest for Excellence. So after you passed some stuff at Cummins, they gave you this cup. I kept it. And back there is my 855 Tritech kit CPL chart that listed all the parts you need for that. I got a couple of those. The other side's got L10 stuff on it. So you know how old that is if you know what an L10 is. Okay, so today's video is going to be a little different. Jake called me and asked me to go on a road call with him. And he said that there was a loaded truck down at the landfill and it shut off. So a couple people had gone down and looked at it and said that it had to be towed. They couldn't get running. But because it was loaded and had a container on it, it would have been pretty pricey to tow this. So let's take a look and see what happened. And then there'll be a couple, I'll have a comment at the end because it's a little different. Last, I have my Signature 600 hat on because this week I watched a video. It was actually about a person that is a trucker, and they kind of do their over-the-road experiences, and they have a ISX 15, actually an X15, and somebody commented that after the N14, Cummins made nothing but junk. So I wholeheartedly disagree. Yeah, they certainly had their problems, but so did everybody else, right? So let's get to today's video. Shop Joe, we're out here at a landfill. This thing shut down, no battery power, no nothing. It was running fine, just shut off. So we're gonna see if we can get it running so I didn't have to tow it back to the shop. As you can see, we're in the middle of nowhere. When we turn the power on, this fuse blew. This is the battery wire that feeds the cab, and it is got 4 ohms to the ground terminal on the battery. So we're going to follow this cable and find out where it's rubbed through on the frame and short it out. Once we do, we'll put another fuse in there and see if we're good to go. So at this point, one of us has to crawl under the truck, cut the ties, and find out where that cable shorted. Now, when we got to the job site, I was thinking there was something wrong with the engine, but there was no cab power at all, and no power anywhere. I checked the batteries. There was power to the batteries. There was power at the starter. There was power at the alternator terminal, but the cab was dead. I'm not a Peterbilt wiring guy, but I went over on the firewall and looked around, and there was a bunch of new plugs and plates in there, so I knew that somebody had been working on that. But I found one cable that I unplugged, and there was a large spade in there, and inside of the cab firewall, and that ended up being the main power feed to the whole fuse block, or cab, if you will. And the way we checked that is we had some jumper cables, and we were able to get the jumper cable down in there, and then we ran them around the truck, and I took a fuse, I think it was a 50 amp fuse, and put it between a jumper cable and a battery hot. I had Jake get in the cab and flip the key on, and then I turned the batteries on, and Jake said that the buzzer came on in the cab and the lights lit up. So I knew we had the right idea. When Jake was under the truck, he said that cable just covered with dirt and glop, and they are underneath there. It's just a mucky mess. So I said, we're not going to be able to fix this like this, so we're going to go get a new cable. And so we headed off to a place called Guston Adolph. If you're ever in the town of Oakwood, which is near Northfield, Ohio, which is south of Cleveland. Northfield's where the Cummins Sales and Service is. Right around the corner is Oakwood, the city of Oakwood, and then there's a parts store called Gust, G-U-S-T, in Adolph. And when I worked at Cummins, I used to go there for, when I would do odd jobs on stuff, I'd go there to get what I needed. Super parts store. If they made it, if somebody made it, usually they got it in stock, and they can put stuff together for you. So we went down there, and I told the guy what we needed. I pulled the plug out of the firewall because the connector was good, and we cut it off about 6 inches back. And then I took it down there with Jake and went in, and the guy that was waiting on us had gray hair like me. And I said, "How long you been here?" And he goes, 35 years. So I said, "You're the guy we want to talk to." And I told him what I needed. He went and got the cable. He crimped it together for us. He put heat shrink on it, put an end on, put heat shrink on that. Now, we don't know how long it's got to be, right? So I just tell him, I want 20 feet. So he rolls the cable out on the counter, and he's got the cutter on the cable, and he looks up at me and he goes, "You understand, you're not going to bring this back and tell me that it's too short or too long, and you don't want it, and you want your money back. You understand that, correct?" And I said, "I understand." And then he cut the cable and put it together for us, and we headed back to the truck. This is our repair. Right here, we ran a new harness under the truck. Okay, we got her running. Something wrong? Something wrong?
SCR system came on.
SCR?
Yeah.
So why did the SCR light come on, or why did I think it came on? Fast forward, we found 2 inactive faults, one for the inlet and then outlet knock sensor. The fault was abnormal update rate from those sensors. Remember when the power, when that main power wire of the cab shorted out, the ECM lost not only key power but battery power instantly. So it was a very abnormal shutdown for the ECM. And I think that when it powered back on, the knock sensors take a minute to come online. So I think the ECM thought that the truck was running, and when we started up, it went back to where it knew last. It was continually running. And so all of a sudden to the ECM, where did the knock sensors go? They're gone. And, it takes those a minute to warm up and come online. And they come online, slowly in a progression, the inlet first, the outlet second. Anyway, that's what I think happened. I'm not positive, but it panned out. I told the driver, if the light doesn't go out, you got about an hour to get back to Jake's shop. So drop the container and take off down the road. And if the light goes out, just finish your day. If it doesn't, head over to Jake's. And it worked out. The light went out. Okay, let's move on. This is the fuse assembly that's found in the battery box. That brass ring is threaded. I think they use that to bolt this to the side of the battery box or to a bracket. And this is the fuse, the 100 amp mega fuse that protects that big cable that's shorted out, that feeds the entire cab and chassis battery power. And we replaced it because the other one had a lot of corrosion in it. The 70 amp fuse wasn't used at all. It must be an OEM option for something. Just a 100 amp fuse is used, and you can pop that cover off. There's 3 tabs on it. I used a cotter pin, 90-degree cotter pin puller to pop the cap off to get to the nuts. Now, you guys aren't going to believe this. Engine Shop Joe almost got seriously distracted at Gust and Adolph. Take a look. Get out of town. This is Blaster Beer. Get out of town. Collision Bend. That's good beer.
No.
At the end of the day, we got the truck running and the driver was happy. Take a look.
See ya. You're the best.
See you next time on Acre Shot Truck.
Hey.